Hey guys, Steve Moran here with another episode of Foresight TV. You notice that my background is very different here. If I couldn't figure out how to make the angle work quite right for live stream, but just off to my side on that way is the Pacific Ocean. I am in Huntington Beach, just closing out the Senior Living Innovation Forum. It would be really cool if you were here and sitting on the balcony looking out over the ocean with me, Katherine. We are going to have a great conversation about technology and senior living, but first this. Hey guys, Steve Moran here.
That is great.
Well, Katherine, welcome to Tech Tuesday. Let's talk a little bit about who you are and what you're doing.
All right. It's good to see you again, Steve. It's been a while. I'm Katherine
It has
Wells.
been.
Yeah, I'm Katherine Wells. I'm the CEO of Serenity Smart, and we provide smart communities to senior living. So we give them a differentiator, an edge to drive new move-ins, drive top-line revenue, increase longevity, and actually reduce turnover in their staff as well through the use of technology.
So this is really good, but here's the thing that I'm wondering about is when I look at, there's a lot of talk about technology in senior living, but honestly, when I go in and I look at buildings and I talk to people, there are still, fax machines and flip phones, right? So why do you think we're so far behind on senior living and senior living with this tech thing?
It's a really, really great question. So pre-COVID 2019, the statistics showed that 60% of CEOs in senior living were scheduled to retire in 5 years. So it's been 5 years now, and we are seeing a lot of the previous CEOs retiring, excuse me. And so what that means is we have some younger CEOs coming in who are looking at the way operations are working, and they're scratching their heads, asking the very same question and trying to figure out how they can reduce the manual operations, increase their efficiency, and drive top-line revenue all at once. And you can't go from 0 to 100 overnight. So they're really looking at what infrastructure needs to get put in place. And I'll be honest, and it shocks me every time, Steve, and I don't know why it continues to shock me. I am shocked at the lack of high-speed Wi-Fi available in the buildings. And that has to be the start for almost everything, is to have good high-speed Wi-Fi.
So it's interesting you say that, because I found, this is not true anymore, but I would say so I've been running Foresight for about a little over 14 years now. And I would say the first 5 or 6 years that I ran Foresight and I was talking about technology, I would say way less than 50% of the buildings had Wi-Fi in them, pervasive Wi-Fi in them at all. And even today, I think most communities have Wi-Fi, but it's often not strong enough. It doesn't have enough bandwidth.
Yeah.
So it's really crazy.
Agreed. And what we find is we're in 72 communities across the nation right now and growing pretty quickly. What we find is that a lot of times they say, oh yeah, we have Wi-Fi in our building and it's good, but it's good in the hallway. It's not good in the resident apartments.
Yep.
And that's one of the issues, is ensuring that your residents have access to that Wi-Fi. So we do see some communities that I think are being really smart about it and putting in a router in each resident apartment. It's only going to be more and more needed over time. There's no way we're going to reduce our reliance on Wi-Fi, and the people who are moving in just fully expect to be able to stream the news after lunch, after dinner. And right now that does cause a lot of problems in some of these communities. But I know they're looking at it, and when you think about why is it that the senior living world is so behind in technology. And we talked about you can't go from 0 to 100 overnight. A lot of it is expenses to put in really good Wi-Fi that's going to last them a good long time and they'll be able to build on. It's not cheap to do, and that's their CapEx. So they're spending, at least what I'm seeing is a lot of CapEx is being spent on basic infrastructure right now that is required, and then they can start adding the additional infrastructure that is needed.
When I look at the vendor community, I guess the correct term these days is solution providers. But when I go to conferences, even like this one, I'm guessing that probably 70% of the exhibitors at any given conference are selling some sort of a tech or tech-enabled solution, right? So everybody recognizes that that's the case. And I want to get into a little bit more specifically your platform, but one more question before we do that first. You sort of talk about the next wave of senior living resembling a smart city. Can you talk to me a little bit about that and what that means and what that looks like?
Yeah, it's interesting to me that there's we have the various generations in senior living right now. We have those who are in their 90s and hundreds who they'll often say to us, I don't use technology, don't even bring that in my room. And after we show them what it is and how easy it is, it's all voice, they change their mind. But then also we have the 60s, high 60s and low 70s who have moved in, and they're very used to having an Alexa device or a Google Home, smart devices in their home where they use their voice to turn on the lights. They use their voice to manage the heat level in their apartment, the air conditioning and the heat. They're used to that, and they expect to be able to get things on their mobile phone. They expect to have an app that will tell them what's happening in the community. These things are not readily available in most communities today. In fact, it's a very small subset. So, yeah.
I was going to say, and it's really strange, right? Because I think it creates such an opportunity to make things better. My stepfather is in a very residential assisted living community, six residents in it. And I'm thinking if they had an Echo in there or something if he needed something. Now people are in and out checking on him all the time, which is ideal, but it would save them work if they could just have a conversation all the time, right, without necessarily having to go in there. So I don't know.
You're exactly right, Steve. It does. It saves the staff time. It reduces and I hesitate to use the word burden, but it reduces the workload, I should say, for staff. Yeah. And when you have a device in an apartment or in a room, residential or in a big community, there's also video available. So I know some of the early senior living communities that used the Amazon smart properties and put Alexas in the apartments. Yep. They did not have the video. They were just the little dots in order to keep CapEx down and, try out this new technology that we all have to try at some point. You have to try it out. Now it has video, and to be able to connect residents with their families via video, and they just simply say, Echo, call my daughter, or Echo, call my nurse, and have the nurse be able to see them on the phone without having to run down the hall, find out what's going on, and get there. My dad was notorious for this. Get there to only find out that the resident wanted a Diet Coke. That's not an emergency, and that's not where we want our high-paid clinical staff to be running down the hall and wasting their time doing that. Someone else can take care of that.
Right. Well, and regardless who it is, if you've got to go down and find out what they want and then go back and get it and bring it back, as opposed to making one trip, becomes really significant. I'm actually really worried here right now because all around me, they're tearing down tables. And I have this vision of the hotel staff coming and asking me to move right in the middle of our live stream, but I think that probably won't happen.
We'll
But
roll
anyway,
with it does.
but we'll make it work.
Yep.
So let's actually talk a little bit about your platform, how it works and what it does.
Okay. So we are a smart community platform that brings everybody together on one platform to communicate, collaborate, ensure that everybody is in the know and information share. So what that looks like is a messaging, HIPAA compliant messaging platform that allows the staff at the community to easily and quickly communicate in a secure way with residents, with their families, with each other, and with partner providers. And what so many people don't know about senior living is when you move mom or dad in, it's not all handled by the community. In fact, there are probably more people involved in their lives. There's probably home care at some point, home health. My dad was in assisted living and they could not give him his insulin shots every day. So we had to have home health come in and do that twice a day. No, once a day, every day. It's been a while. There might be hospice involved. There's probably physical therapy. There's a new rounding doctor. So all of these partner providers, they all have their own solution to communicate. And it's too much for the director of nursing at a community to log into each one of their ways of communicating. So to go back to the old school way, they often have a piece of paper at the front desk that says, partner provider, fill this out and tell us what you did while you were here. So we put them all on a single platform so they can digitally communicate, send photos, videos, file attachments, etc. But then in each of the resident apartments, they have an Alexa Echo Show 8. So it's about this big and it has a screen. And that screen does what you would expect. It rotates information, and I call these mini advertisements for what's coming up on their activities calendar. So it's just constantly rotating. Bingo at 5:00 tonight. Scenic trip tomorrow at 2:00, reservation required. So it's just constantly showing them, but they can also say, echo, what are today's activities? And it reads it to them and it shows it on the screen. So you manage both hearing and vision impaired. We have several blind people who have just completely teared up when we put this in their apartment because they had no way to get information. They had to have somebody come read it to them.
Yep.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
And so much more. So that this is, part of that smart city concept where they can verbally talk to the device. So they can say, put in a maintenance ticket for me, put in a dining order. I'd like a room tray tonight instead. Call my daughter, call the front desk. So there's just so much there, and it's only getting better with the large language models that are coming out and becoming more available.
So, I've got so many questions. Well, I'm going to try to keep from getting distracted here with my questions. So I think I understand what sort of the physical device is, what it looks like from a resident perspective. What's it look like? Or the two questions, where places I want to go is, what is the device? What does it look like from a community perspective? And then what does it look like from a family perspective? How do I as a family member communicate? And so pick whichever one you'd like you do first.
Okay. So for the resident, it's just the Alexa Echo Show 8. Yep. That's all there is. For the family, they will download the Serenity Smart app on their phone, and they will have different channels of communication. These are private communication channels like text, group texts with the staff, with maybe a partner provider, with their own family members. And then they can also video call the resident, their loved one, through the app. So they would just say, call my dad, and they have it on video in the app, and it rings in Dad's apartment. What a lot of people don't know is that Amazon Smart Properties is in a closed, secure network, especially Amazon Smart Properties for senior living. So it's not an Alexa that is your retail device where you can drop in. You can't just drop in on mom or dad. You actually have to call them and they have to answer. So they have to say echo answer or push the little button, or you ask a staff member to be in the room and do that for you if they're unable. Like my mom had Alzheimer's, she couldn't have done that. But if a staff did it for her, then I could have a quick chat with her and that would have changed everything for me. So I think, did that answer the questions?
Yeah, I think it did. I mean, I'm sort of thinking, right? So one of the questions I have for you is, and what's it look like? I'm sorry, what does it look like for the senior living community? What's their interface? A laptop or phone or what?
Both or either. So they can use it on a laptop. They can on any web browser, and it's also on a mobile device. Android or iPhone makes no difference. So
Okay.
we work really hard to be device agnostic for everybody to work the way they are used to working.
Perfect. So, one of the things that I've been thinking about, and this is again very personal for me with my, hold that question for a minute, Jada. We'll get to it in a second. One of the things I've been thinking about with my stepfather is he's sort of mid-stage dementia, moving or maybe early severe. I go see him, same questions over and over again, answer them 28 times. Once in a while, I can get him talking about something else. So I'm starting to think that if I could create, and the technology is out there to do this, if I could create a Steve Moran avatar backed by a large language model that I could do a little bit of training, I could set it up where he thinks he's talking to me, sounds like my voice, maybe even has a picture of my face like this, and it would never run out of things to talk about. Could I do that within your environment?
Not today, but in the future, absolutely. And I haven't seen it yet available today, but I love your thinking, and I do think it is going that way. And as I said, my mom had Alzheimer's. She was in memory care. How could this have been even valuable to her? Actually, and you probably know this, given all the time you've been in this industry, but music is a crucial component for those with dementia. And my mom, who was nonverbal for 2 years, if she heard any song from The Sound of Music, she would start singing her heart out. And you couldn't get her to stop. Yeah. So things you can do with the device are set up playlists like that. So at sundowning time, it starts playing the music to get them moving. It's also, there's something called, now I won't remember the name of it. It's a certain type of beat, binaural beats. And I don't remember how to spell it, but it's a certain beat of music that if you play it in memory care, and we have a couple memory cares doing this, it helps people eat. They really? Start to eat. Yes, in memory care. Cool. Yeah, it calms agitation. So there's just so much that can be done, and when it can be controlled remotely, this way it makes all of the difference.
That's cool.
But I love
Jada, why don't you go ahead and put that comment up? So, any thoughts on what it would cost to put a Wi-Fi into 100 units of a senior living community?
Yeah, it's a great question. That I don't know. I would have to defer to somebody who does strictly Wi-Fi. I can tell you that some communities have been able successfully to contract with a Comcast, Xfinity, Spectrum, and get really, really low bulk rates. There are also local providers who will come in and do it, and they give you specialized attention that you would never get from Comcast. And then there are national providers who just do that, and Gigabit Now is one of them. I can tell you they're absolutely phenomenal. We have worked with them in some buildings, but you'd have to talk to them to get the pricing on that kind of thing.
Yeah. And I will say it's really variable because I've had some experience in this, and you can take a wood frame building, relatively inexpensive because you can do routers inside the building. You take something that's got steel in it or has got concrete block, then the cost is, it's hard to pull wires, and it varies so much depending on the architecture of the building. The one thing I would say is that um, I've known a number of residents in senior living communities that provided quote unquote pervasive Wi-Fi where it just wasn't good enough, and they've actually contracted to bring it into their own rooms because they really wanted the capacity. I sort of think that when you're paying that much for senior living, it should be there for you, but that's just the reality of it. One of the questions that I have is a little bit about adoption by both families and residents. And I'll use myself as an example. I have an Alexa in my TV room, and until I got a smart TV, I never used it. It was on once in a while. It would pop up, which would be a little bit annoying to me, because it would hear something that I thought it was trying to wake it up. Are you finding that people are using it, or do you end up with devices in rooms in families who are not using it?
Yeah, it's the right question to ask. What is the adoption rate? So Serenity is lucky enough. We have 95% adoption rate by the residents.
Wow,
It's
terrific.
not an issue. And most of it is because the device itself is providing content to them that they need. So it's valuable information. It allows, and we didn't talk about this earlier, the staff from either a laptop or their phone, let's just say an elevator goes down, the maintenance director can message all the devices right there on the spot. So they get a notification in their apartment, elevator 3 is down, please use elevator 2. That's a big deal if you're trying to get to lunch and you're in a walker and you walk all the way to elevator 3 only to find out it's not working and you have to go back the other way, or the hot water's out, or the mail is in, or you have a package at the front, or this activity changed from this room to another. So the community is pushing information to the devices that is very important in the daily life of the residents, and that is why we have such high adoption rate.
Yeah. That's cool. Talk to me a little bit about money. What's it cost? How do people get set up? How hard is it to get going?
Yeah, so we have we don't do it by resident per se,
Okay.
because we don't want to do, a resident moves in, a resident moves out kind of pricing. So it's a flat fee for the community, but it is based on the number of residents in the community. So it averages out to be about $18 to $20 per resident per month. And then there is the CapEx. You do have to buy the device itself. We get a great discount from Amazon that we pass on. We don't make any money on the devices. It's not our business model. And then there's a very small implementation fee because we configure them specifically to your community and your needs.
Got it. And typically, how long does it take to get it up and going?
Yeah, it's amazing. We actually did 8 communities in September. We rolled out, and it was an airplane time. But we have it down. We did a 250 resident community in a day and a half, and the residents loved it. They were thrilled. They were excited. That the other thing we didn't talk about, there's so much that it can do. They can call each other room to room.
Oh, is that right?
And video chat, and we have a community actually that they have a group of ladies who play mahjong, and one of them was couldn't leave her apartment for 2 weeks. So her friends went to a common area. They put one of the devices at the table spot where she would normally sit, and they videoed her in so she could play.
Oh, is that right? That's very cool. I like that a lot.
That's like worth it. But so the cost is there for sure. We are driving increased revenue by about 15%. We're seeing an uplift in census, and then of course reducing the costs along the way.
Yep. So talk to me a little bit about how you see AI playing into your system, and then maybe even more broadly AI in senior living.
Yeah. AI is a hot topic and it's real. It's coming whether we want it to or not. And I have people on all ends of the spectrum. Oh my gosh, keep me away from
Yeah.
AI. Bring it on. I can't wait. I think that, for us, AI is part of the ecosystem in general, the Amazon.
Yep.
So get to take advantage of what they already have and has been out there for quite a long time. Large language models are coming out now, and you see that with Alexa Plus. I would be shocked if that didn't show up in Amazon Smart Properties, though I don't know that for sure. I think that the ability for AI to do what you were talking about with an avatar that looks like you, speaks like you, can have a conversation, I think that's going to be really, really important. And I'm probably on the more extreme side of I'm a gadget girl at heart. I always have been. I love taking technology and seeing how it can improve our lives. And I still don't understand why we don't have more robots that are just vacuuming the floors in senior living. I don't understand. I'd love to learn why the robots in the dining area have not been as successful as they thought they would be. I'm just shocked by that. It blows me away.
Yeah, I'm really puzzled by that as well. And I guess the area that I'm particularly puzzled by it is floor cleaning.
Yeah.
I was in Las Vegas for ACA last week, and the hotel that I was in, they had robot cleaners that were going through, and even in the middle of the day when lots of people, and they're made so that they'll avoid people, and they work really well. And I've seen robots in a few senior living communities for dining services, but other than that, I haven't really seen them, and I'm not really sure why that. My guess is that the reason we haven't seen it is that nobody's been able to figure out how to say, if I go buy this robot, it's going to save me an FTE. And so
Yeah.
it might make the work burden, and that may not be the right way for operators to look at it, but that's kind of
Well,
that's my guess. So
yeah, they need to. It's about the mission and the margin. We've all heard that.
yep,
But Serenity, our focus is really on the experience of the way we all age and the
yep.
economics. So for everybody involved.
So when you sort of look at the senior living industry and technology, dream for me a little bit about what you think senior living and senior living technology is going to look like in maybe 5 years.
A lot can happen in 5 years, an awful lot, especially with large language models. I think that we're going to see fewer concierges maybe at the front and more automated ways to check in and out that are a little bit like a boarding pass on an airline. So you walk into the airport and it pops up on your phone. You just scan it. You're in. Everyone who needs to know you're in the building knows you're in the building. There's no going through a kiosk or anything. I think that we will probably see some robotics. I think we'll see some companion robotics. I think we will have systems more tightly integrated. And this is one of the big pain points for senior living operators right now is there's so many point solutions. And it's really hard to just add another point solution, right? Integrate things just integrated and working really well. And I think that residents are going to be the ones to drive that. And Sandy, who posted up here about the Wi-Fi a little bit earlier, I feel for you. He mentioned that he and his wife are in senior living and they're trying to figure out how to technify their apartment, and they aren't getting support from the community because that's not the community's expertise.
Right. And I'm sympathetic for the operators, right? I mean, there's so many choices, and trying to figure out what to do first. how to prioritize your dollars, all of those kinds of things is really, really difficult. And of course, every technology vendor says we've got the greatest thing that's going to make the world a better place, and so trying to figure that out is a really, really tough thing to do. But I agree with you. I think that as we have a new generation of leaders coming into the field, and just the realities of staffing challenges, we're going to see more and more technology because it's the only way to survive and to thrive. So, Katherine, thank you very much for joining me. Let's take just another 45 seconds so people know where to find you and how to get in touch.
You bet. So thank you for the conversation, Steve. You're amazing. People can find me on LinkedIn. The link is right here on your page, but also our website, which is serenitysmart.com. And we're available. There's a link on there. You can even schedule if you just want to see a quick demo or you just want to connect with someone and learn more about it. So that's it. It's really super simple. And we're all about improving the experience and the economics of the way we all age.
Cool. Katherine, thanks for joining me. Jada, thanks for running things behind scene. I know it's a lot harder when I'm on location like this. You see my head getting more and more sun. I thought I was so smart about getting shade and it didn't quite work out. We'll be back. I want to give a plug for our Friday show. I'm Gary Ridge. He's got a brand new book. He was the CEO of WD-40, oil, spray can oil. One of the best cultures, workplace cultures in the whole world. He's got a brand new book out called Any Dumbass Can Do It. And so we're going to be talking about that, about how to build great cultures. Katherine, again, thanks so much. Have a great rest of your week.
Thank you. You too.